In a faraway future, mankind traveled far beyond Earth, settling on distant planets and establishing new civilizations. In the middle of these new worlds was a planet called Ecliptor. It was a rich and green planet, filled with life. On a planet's main airport, there was a spaceship preparing for launch into outer space. We are meeting Captain Aaron Thorne. He was a tall man with a strong build and piercing blue eyes. He spent most of his life exploring the galaxy, and now he was assigned to the Pegasus, which was a state-of-the-art spaceship designed for deep space exploration. Aaron had seen his fair share of battles and adventures throughout his life. He earned a reputation as a skilled pilot and a natural leader. Aaron's new mission was to explore unknown regions of the galaxy and try to find new worlds and new life forms. As he was walking through the busy airport and preparing for his departure, he couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and anticipation. The airport was overcrowded with people doing various stuff. Ships were taking off and landing, people were hurrying to and from the ships, and the constant hum of machinery was heard in the background. In this chaos, Aaron's attention was drawn to a heated argument nearby. A woman, clearly frustrated, was arguing with a maintenance worker. "Look, I'm telling you, this equipment is faulty," the woman said to him. The worker, looking exhausted, shook his head. "Ma'am, this is top-of-the-line gear. There's no way it's malfunctioning." Curious, Aaron approached the pair. The woman turned to face him, and Aaron was struck by her beauty. She had dark hair pulled back into a neat ponytail, big brown eyes, and a serious expression on her face that suggested she wasn't someone to be taken lightly. "Excuse me," Aaron said politely. "Is there a problem here?" The woman calmed down a little bit and said, "Maybe you can help me. I'm Dr. Nicole Phillips, and I've been assigned to the Pegasus ship. My equipment was supposed to be delivered here before I boarded the ship. I came here to check whether there were any issues, and I noticed that there was a problem with a couple of instruments, and they didn't want to turn on at all. I need them for my research." Aaron's heart skipped a beat when he heard her name. Dr. Nicole Phillips was a renowned scientist, known for her groundbreaking work in biology. Her discoveries had significantly advanced humanity's understanding of alien life forms, and meeting her in person was an unexpected honor. "I'm Captain Aaron Thorne," he introduced himself with a smile. "It sounds like we're going to be shipmates. Don't worry, Dr. Phillips. I'll make sure your equipment is fixed. Welcome aboard the Pegasus." Nicole's face softened, and her frustration ended while giving way to gratitude. "Thank you, Captain Thorne. I was beginning to think I'd have to cancel my research mission." Aaron nodded, already feeling a connection with her. "Let's get this sorted out. We have a long journey ahead, and we need everything in perfect working order." As they walked together toward the ship, Aaron couldn't help but feel that this meeting was the beginning of something significant. Nicole Phillips was not only brilliant, but also captivating. He looked forward to getting to know her better during their mission. Inside the Pegasus, the crew was busy preparing for departure. Aaron took Nicole to the lab where her equipment was stored, promising to have the engineers look at it immediately. "Thank you, Captain," Nicole said, while her eyes met his. "I appreciate your help." Aaron smiled. "It's my pleasure, Dr. Phillips. I have a feeling we're going to make a great team." As Aaron left Nicole to settle into her new quarters, he realized that meeting Nicole sparked something in him, and that sense of excitement he hadn't felt in a long time. Among the people of the crew, there was a lieutenant called Frank Shepard, He was Aaron's childhood friend and a talented engineer. He met Nicole for the first time in the ship's laboratory, just a few days after she joined the ship. Frank, the ship's chief engineer, was there to check on her equipment after Captain Thorne promised Nicole that her instruments would be fixed. Nicole was bent over her microscope, completely occupied by her work, when Frank walked in. He paused for a moment, watching her, before clearing his throat. "Dr. Phillips?" Frank said to her. Nicole looked up, slightly startled. "Yes, that's me. And you are?" "Lieutenant Frank Shepard, chief engineer," he replied with a smile. "Captain Thorne asked me to make sure your equipment is in top shape. He mentioned there were some issues." Nicole sighed in relief. "Oh, thank goodness. I've been struggling with these instruments since I got here. I was starting to think I'd have to conduct my research using just a magnifying glass and some wishful thinking." Frank smiled. "Let's not resort to that just yet. Show me what's wrong, and I'll see what I can do." As Nicole explained the problems she was facing, Frank listened carefully, nodding and asking questions. They worked side by side for the next few hours, while Frank was diagnosing and fixing the issues with her equipment. Nicole couldn't help but be impressed by his expertise and his relaxed nature. "There," Frank said, standing up after making the final adjustments. "That should do it. Everything should be running smoothly now." Nicole smiled, genuinely grateful. "Thank you, Frank. I don't know what I would have done without your help." "Happy to assist," Frank replied. "If you need anything else, don't hesitate to ask." As Frank left the lab, he couldn't stop thinking about Nicole. She was not only brilliant, but also kind and charming. His admiration for her was growing, and he found himself looking for excuses to see her again. Frank and Aaron had been friends since childhood. They grew up in the same small town on Earth, where they spent countless hours dreaming about exploring the stars. They joined the Space Academy together, and their bond grew only stronger as they faced the challenges of their training. One evening, while Frank and Aaron were working together in the engineering bay, Frank decided to open up about his feelings for Nicole. "She's amazing, isn't she?" Frank said, breaking the silence between them. Aaron agreed. "Yeah, she is. But remember, Frank, she's a colleague. We have to stay professional." Frank exhaled, setting down his tools. "I know, Aaron. But sometimes staying professional is the hardest thing to do, especially when you care about someone." Aaron put a hand on his friend's shoulder. "I understand, Frank, but we have a mission to focus on. We can't let personal feelings get in the way." As the days passed, the tension between Aaron and Frank became more noticeable. Both men were drawn to Nicole, but neither wanted to jeopardize their friendship or their mission. Nicole, unaware of their feelings, continued to work hard in her lab. One evening, as Aaron was walking around the ship, he decided to check on Nicole in her lab. He found her surrounded by her equipment and deep in thought. "How's everything going?" Aaron asked, leaning against the doorway. Nicole looked up with a smile. "It's going well, Captain. I'm just making sure everything is ready for our first mission. How about you?" Aaron walked into the lab, and their eyes met each other. "Busy, as usual, but I wanted to see how you were settling in. If you need anything, just let me know." Nicole nodded, appreciating his concern. "Thank you, Aaron. I really appreciate all your help. This mission is so important to me, and I want everything to go perfectly." "We're all in this together, Nicole, and I have no doubt that we'll make incredible discoveries." As they continued to talk, Aaron felt a connection with Nicole growing stronger. He admired her passion and dedication, and he found himself wanting to spend more time with her. But he was also aware of Frank's feelings and the unspoken tension between them. Meanwhile, Frank was in the ship's workshop, working on a project to improve the efficiency of the ship's engines. Zara, the ship's communications officer, joined him and sensed that he was in a bad mood. "Hey, Frank," Zara said with her soft voice, "you seem a bit down. Everything okay?" Frank sighed, wiping his hands on a rag. "It's just complicated. I have feelings for someone, but I'm not sure if they feel the same way. And to make things worse, my best friend likes her too." Zara nodded, understanding his problem. "Love triangles are never easy, but maybe you should talk to Aaron about it. Keeping things bottled up will only make it harder." Frank considered her advice, knowing she was right. He needed to talk to Aaron and clear the air. But he also knew that confronting his feelings and risking their friendship was not good. As the ship prepared to depart, the tension between Aaron, Frank, and Nicole continued to grow bigger. In the quiet moments, Aaron found himself thinking about Nicole, wondering if she felt the same way. Frank, too, struggled with his feelings, torn between his love for Nicole and his loyalty to Aaron. Then, one evening, Frank gathered his courage and approached Aaron in his office. "Aaron, can we talk?" Frank asked, serious. Aaron looked up. "Of course, Frank. What's on your mind?" Frank took a deep breath. "It's about Nicole. I know you have feelings for her, and I do too. I don't want this to come between us, but I can't keep pretending that I don't care about her." Aaron nodded. "I understand, Frank. This isn't easy for any of us, but we need to be honest with each other and find a way to move forward." As the two friends talked, they realized that their bond was strong enough to withstand this challenge. They agreed to focus on their mission and let Nicole decide for herself. It was a difficult decision, but one that allowed them to maintain their friendship and their professionalism. Nicole, meanwhile, remained unaware of the depth of their feelings. Her mind was occupied with her research. Zara, the ship's communications officer, always admired Frank. She was drawn to his intelligence and his relaxed nature. Over time, those feelings for him increased, but she kept them hidden. She didn't want to destroy their friendship. One evening, Zara found herself alone in the ship's observation deck, looking out at the stars. As she stood there, lost in thought, she heard footsteps behind her. "Mind if I join you?" Frank asked her. Zara turned, with a smile on her face. "Not at all, Frank. It's always nice to have company." "It's amazing, isn't it? No matter how many times I see it, space always leaves me in awe," Frank said to her. Zara nodded, while her eyes shifted from the stars to Frank. "It's one of the reasons I wanted to be out here. There's something about the endless possibilities, the unknown. It's fascinating." Frank noticed that she felt a bit down. "Is everything okay, Zara? You seem a bit distant tonight." Zara was thinking about whether to open up about her feelings to him. "It's just complicated, Frank. There's a lot going on, and sometimes it feels overwhelming." Frank reached out, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You can talk to me, Zara. I'm here for you." Zara looked into his eyes and said, "I know, Frank, and that means a lot to me." A couple of days later, the ship received a distress signal from a nearby planet, Delta Prime. A small research colony had been caught in a severe storm, and their communications and power systems had failed. The crew of the Pegasus knew that a rescue mission was essential, but the bad weather conditions made it incredibly risky. Aaron, Frank, Nicole, and Zara gathered in the briefing room to discuss their plan of action. "The colony is in need of our assistance," Aaron began. "Their power grid is down, and they're running low on supplies. We need to get there as soon as possible." Nicole nodded. "The storm is intense, but I think we can navigate through it if we adjust our shields and propulsion systems. We need to be careful, though. One wrong move, and we could be in serious trouble." Frank added, "I'll get to work on reinforcing the shields and making sure the engines can handle the stress." Then Zara spoke up. "I'll monitor communications and try to keep a line open with the colony. We need to know exactly what we're dealing with before we arrive." Later that evening, Frank found Nicole in the lab. He hesitated for a moment before stepping inside. "Nicole, can we talk?" Frank asked. Nicole looked up, surprised to see him. "Of course, Frank. What's on your mind?" Frank took a deep breath. "I care about you, Nicole. I have for a long time, but I know Aaron has feelings for you too, and I don't want to come between you two." Nicole's eyes softened, and she reached out to touch his arm. "Frank, I value our friendship more than anything. You've always been there for me, and I appreciate that. But I think it's time we were all honest with each other. I also have feelings for Aaron, and I don't want this to end my friendship with you. I love you too, you know, and I would like it if we remained friends." Meanwhile, Aaron was in the control room with Zara running some calculations. Zara approached him. "I need to tell you something. I've been keeping this for a long time, but I have feelings for Frank. But I know he likes Nicole, and I don't want to create any problems between us." Aaron exhaled and then replied, "This situation is complicated, Zara. We all care about each other, but we need to find a way to move forward without letting our emotions interfere with the mission." The next day, Aaron called a meeting with Frank, Nicole, and Zara in his office. "We need to be honest with each other," Aaron began. "Our feelings are affecting our ability to work together effectively." Zara was the first to respond. "I agree, and I've been keeping this for a long time, but I love you, Frank. I loved you since the first day that I met you. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I just wanted you to know that." Frank looked at her confused, because he never expected this. "Oh, wow. Why didn't you tell me about this before? I never noticed it." "Well, I was afraid that I was going to destroy our friendship, and I didn't want that." Frank then came closer to her, looked her in the eyes, and without saying any words, he kissed her. Zara was so happy when he did that, and immediately kissed him back. While the two of them were kissing, Aaron took Nicole outside the room to talk. "You know, I don't know how to start this, but I think that you are perfect. This may sound like a cliché, but I can't seem to find one thing that's bad about you. You are gorgeous, smart, and also quite charming. I don't know how you feel about me, maybe you even hate me, but I had to get this out of me. It was eating me up from the inside." Then Nicole smiled with a big grin on her face and said, "I don't hate you, silly. The first time that I met you, when I was angry about my equipment, you managed to calm me down. Your presence actually cooled me off. And after that, every time that I saw you, I was thinking about you, and I was getting more in love with you." "Wait, you're in love with me?" Aaron asked, with a confused look on his face. "Yes, you big idiot." And then she ran up to him and kissed him. After that, the four of them became lifelong friends. Their bond was unbreakable, and no matter the challenges that laid ahead, They were ready to face them. Together. Together. Together.